My name is Logan Manford, founder of Blowfish Clothing. We are a clothing company known not only for our amazing clothing, but also for our even more amazing message, all for all. This is not your normal podcast. No celebrities, sports, or money. This podcast, the Speakeasy, has been created for the other stories, the ones you may not want to hear. These words are the stories of your neighbors, of the people you pass every day on the street, from the homeless to sexual assault survivors, to those being disowned for their sexuality. It is the sound of our community, and we hope you listen with open ears and an open heart.
Well, welcome, Sophia. So glad to have you here.
Thank you.
It's been fantastic the last couple of days, you being here. As you know, I'm super excited us being partnered up doing this. We'll probably use this as our podcast too, so thanks, friends, for everybody who can't see us on camera.
For sure.
But yeah, just tell us just a little bit about yourself, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit about me. I'm 27 years old. I'm from Michigan, and I have a lung disease called cystic fibrosis, and it's a disease that you're born with. And I've been obviously dealing with that my whole life, and as I've gotten older, it's gotten worse and worse, so new challenges, new struggles appear, but I have started a foundation called Breathing Becomes Effortless, and that's what I have dedicated my life to, is bringing awareness to CF and spreading the word and public speaking and getting opportunities like this with you.
So, basically a Blowfish, we talked about a lot partnering. For those of you who don't know, Sophia and Blowfish have been going back and forth for quite some time now about partnering up and going. And when I saw your foundation, I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect, because I know what you stand for and I know what we stand for. And I was like, if we can bring all these communities together, it would just be amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we're super excited. As far as like your foundation goes, we'll get into your story a little bit more, but go ahead and talk a little bit about just what cystic fibrosis is in general, and kind of educate the public a little bit about what CF is and how prevalent it is in the community. Because to be honest, I'd heard of it here and there, but until talking to you, I didn't realize how prevalent it really was in the world.
Yeah. Cystic fibrosis is mainly, you'll hear it's a lung disease. If you ask me personally, I call it like a full body disease because it can affect pretty much every organ in your body. And me personally, it affects my lungs and my pancreas a lot. And I take, pretty much all CFers take enzymes before we eat and help digest the food, because we don't take in enough nutrients as the normal person does. So it's extremely hard to gain weight and have that nutrients, like I said, just like everyone else. So like, for instance, if you were to have a protein shake of like 30 grams of protein, like my body would take in like half of that. Like I couldn't, so it's like really hard. So your calorie intake is like super high. It's really good to exercise and things. I think a lot of people have on cystic fibrosis where it's not, but it actually is really good to exercise and keep your lungs healthy. It is the #1 genetic killer of children and young adults in the U.S.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and so when I was diagnosed with CF at 6 years old, like I said, you're born with it, but I wasn't diagnosed until I was 6. My life expectancy was 18. So it is like advanced hugely, and like the medications and the therapies and things like that for over the years since I was diagnosed has like completely changed and like advanced big time.
And for those of you who don't know, obviously you can Google and stuff like that, but Sophia has a lot of good information on her website, VBEFoundation.com. So VBE, in case you want to check it out, as well as her Instagram and stuff like that, which is kind of how we found each other, was through Instagram. So it's obviously a powerful tool. The CF thing was cool, but what I really liked about partnering with you is the battles you've had with not just CF, but mental health, and I know you've been a little bit public about that stuff, and then obviously you're part of the LGBTQ community too, so it was really exciting for us at Blowfish to partner with you in more ways than just one. We're giving back to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, which is amazing. If you could talk a little bit about basically how CF has affected you and how it's kind of tied in with other aspects of your life. So there's a plane coming over right now, so hopefully they can hear that. But a little bit about how it's kind of tied into, you gave a talk yesterday, you talked a little bit about mental health awareness and stuff like that, and how everything's really kind of builds upon each other, and how it's kind of happened over the years.
Yeah, so kind of how like everything kind of has combined and intertwined with each other in my life, with my journey is CF obviously is my number one thing, and bringing awareness to that, and then also trying to become like who I am as a person in the midst of my life being out there for years and me sharing my journey and my life with people through social media and different foundations and fundraising events. I really still held in a huge part of me that I didn't let go because I was afraid of, a lot of people told me you're not going to have the followers you have or have the people support you like you do if you were to come out. And when I came out 2 years ago and finally started being like myself and being being like just authentic and transparent and really just being me, it was super scary because I had like that on top of it, because it was like I would lose people in my life because of that. And some people haven't supported me anymore because I have come out like that with that part of my life. And so it's been a little bit difficult and surprising for some people, but also on the other hand has been really amazing too, to see the people that like have supported me and do support me. And I have that. And then finding you guys and seeing what you guys stand for and what I stand for and how they just like completely mesh. And I wanted to work with you guys for a long time because we stand for a lot of the same things, and working locally in our communities and bringing people together is like one of the biggest things we do, and just to spread love and kindness and just help one another.
Yeah, and that's really what it's about. This will probably turn into a podcast, like I said too. So, and that's really what our mission is here at Blowfish, is to get your story out, get other people's stories out. If you have stories out there, the number one thing I talk about all the time on the podcast is really getting it out there and sharing it with people, because your story might inspire somebody else that's
right.
like, oh my gosh, I'm going through this, like this piled on top of this. But I mean, you're a perfect example of how you've battled through and kind of really taken everything and rolled with the punches and kind of went with there. So one thing I found inspiring about you is, I'll let you tell the story, but kind of when the doctor said, hey, Sophia, here's the bad news, and you kind of said, kiss my butt. Go ahead and tell that story a little bit.
So when I was about 23, I was told that my lungs were basically failing, and they were at like 28%, which the average like lung function for someone is over 100, no problem. And so learning to like live with your lung function that low is like your whole world's flipped upside down. And they told me I had to move back home, that I had to start the workup for a double lung transplant to live longer. I had to quit my job, and I was on like oxygen 24/7 at that time. It was just like everything flipped upside down, like I said, so fast. And it was just like, and that kind of spiraled into where my depression came in, is where it first really like I noticed that I really was in like a really dark depression, and that that whole part of it adding on to like all the other things that I personally struggle with. And so that part of it was super hard to like cope with everything, but it's 50% that those lungs will last you 5 years. Wow. So obviously I have friends that have those have lasted 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 6 months. They've had to get like a second double lung transplant. So like it is very individualized as well. So like not all stories are unfortunately like the worst, but it is, you think about it and you're like, okay, I'm 23. Yeah. Definitely want to be here more than 5 years. So I'm like, I want to do everything I can to keep my these lungs, like as long as I can. So I signed up for a NPC bikini competition, like bodybuilding competition. That's and awesome. I was like, held me accountable to like really get better and stick to it. And I did. I gained like 15% of my lungs back and like 7 pounds in that 1 month. My docs were like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Like my dietitian was so against it. She's like, you can't cut this out of your diet. You can't do that. And I'm like, okay, well now that you guys are telling me I can't, I'm definitely going to now. But yeah, they're like, obviously stick to what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, definitely going to. So yeah, it kind of flipped my whole work. Because a lot of people have like just because you're sick, they're like, okay, putting good things into your body, like food and all of that isn't going to help, because your body's already like so messed up inside. But it honestly definitely does the opposite. It does a lot of help for anyone. Doesn't matter if you have an illness or not. Putting good things in your body, you're going to feel better mentally, emotionally, physically. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So one thing we talk about on the podcast is, and for CFers, basically is what, basically, if you are going through this, we're not giving health advice, just like we haven't on any parts of the podcast. But if you are going through struggles, feel free to reach out to Sophia. I mean,
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
why we're doing this, is to get the stories out there. And if you're going through something similar, feel free to reach out with Sophia. Be like, hey, I'm going through the same thing you did. Like, how did you get through this? Like, as far as the CF thing goes specifically. More the depression side of things. I know you've been battling it multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
What would be, not that there's specific advice you can give, because I know it's more complicated than that, but what are some things that, like, you use to help basically fight through it and get out of that dark? If basically somebody came to you and be like, hey, I'm going through the same thing, like, what would you say to them?
I would definitely say, well, I'll tell you my first experience when I finally opened up and was open about it to someone. I got, like, the worst response I could have gotten.
Oh, wow.
And was like, how the heck could you do this? You have this and this and this going for you. Like, you're so messed up for thinking this way. And then it kept me silent for a lot longer.
Is it a family member?
No.
Okay.
And so it kept me silent for a lot longer. And then I realized that, like, when I did find someone that I finally felt I could open up with again, it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like a completely different feeling. And they made me feel like I wasn't worthless. Like, I'm not some alien for thinking the way I did or feeling the way that I did. And the biggest thing that I, like, take away from that and knowing, because, like, the first response is, like, when you go to someone, their first response, that is a very natural reaction, even though it stinks.
Yeah.
It is very natural, but it stinks because really all those people, and I say this because my own personal experience, is someone to listen to you. Like, I know all of the things that I have in my life. I have an incredible family, incredible friends, support system, love. I have so many things I'm so grateful for that people don't have. And I still went through and still struggle with it every day, mentally with things. But I know that, like, I'm getting better and I'm working through those things. And it's just like having someone that really listens to you and genuinely cares. And that's, like, the biggest thing, to find someone that is that for you and, like, a go-to person.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's great advice and everything. And we talk about sexual assault all the time. Really being able to get it out there and talk about it and somebody listening to you,
Yeah.
I think is really the most important thing, as far as, you know, really getting your story out there and trying to tell somebody else and see where they come from there.
Because for the longest time, I didn't tell that part in my story.
Oh, really?
Like, I kept it out. I kept it very secret. Because I was kind of ashamed and things of it, and I didn't really know exactly what I was feeling or thinking, and, like, is this, like, what is this? Because I've never dealt with it before until then. So then I finally, one speech, I wrote it in my speech, and, like, I told the whole audience that part of my life, and me trying to take my own life at one point and feeling like there was no way out.
Yeah.
And so I just can see both sides of things now, which is...
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Being so close and being told, hey, this is basically how long you have left to live, does it change your perspective on life at all? Like, did it, like, flip a switch, or was it just like, holy cow, like, obviously I've never experienced that, but, like, what is it like when somebody, like, did it change your mindset about life, or was it...
I can definitely say I am a different thinker than the average person. Not any better or anything, just very different. I'm a deep thinker. I appreciate the little things big time. It definitely changed the way I looked at things, because as I got older with it and as my health started getting, like, worse and worse, I even more so, like, just, you learn more and more of what you appreciate. And then at one point I was like, I appreciate all these things, but then you go through another thing and you're like, holy cow, like, even more things, like, come into light and you appreciate even more things. But it does. But I've never let it, like, stop me from anything that I've wanted to do. I have a bucket list, and I check things off that, and I plan to get everything on that I want done. But I've never let it stop me from doing anything that I've wanted to do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's inspirational. I mean, it's crazy. So as far as, like, we talked a little bit about this, but obviously CF's a story that lives with you every day. And being gay also is one too. So we talked briefly about, like, coming out and the dichotomy of like being supported as having CF and all the support around you, as opposed to I'm gay, now people have almost a different stigma towards you. And I think that happens a lot, and not just have to be coming out as gay or CF as the examples, but basically getting support in one area of your life, and then something changes, and those same people might be like, oh my gosh. Like, I think it happens often. Talk a little bit about, like, your experience with that, and kind of, like, what advice you'd give to people as far as coming out, not just as gay, but, you know, other things in their life experiences.
Yeah, because, like you said, not just with coming out as gay, because I kept my CF secret until I was 17.
That's wild.
So, it's not just that. It's, like, all these baby steps that have become into this journey in my life, but it's been part of it because like I said, it's scary because you're so scared of what the other people are going to think, and the biggest part is the people that are closest to you. So like your parents, your siblings, and people that you already know their beliefs and all of that. So it's like you're taking a huge risk and not knowing really what the outcome's going to be. You have like an idea of what the outcome's going to be, but then you don't know unless you do it. And so obviously, like I said, I kept it secret, and I finally was just like, it was weighing on me like so hard, and I was like, I just want to be me. Like, I just want, and it didn't happen that long ago that that happened. And me talking about it more freely and openly with people like in my family and telling more people. So I would say, like, even though it's like the hardest thing, eventually like it does get better, and to talk about it and be yourself is the best way, because you just feel like a lot more free and like a big weight's lifted off your shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, your story, trans people talk about it all the time, honestly. Like, that whole thing about, I feel this inside, but what's the person next to me going to say? What's my closest family going to say? And stuff like that. And I mean, honestly, like, I think what you just said could be applied to so many different types of things that it's really important advice.
It can just be a super scary thing and super vulnerable, puts you in a place of like, you don't know what's going to happen, but you just want to be you, so you just, you know, you go for it. Yeah.
So we haven't talked about this a lot, like, but like, where are you at right now with like your disease and stuff like that? Like, as far as like doctors and all that stuff, like currently.
Yeah, currently, I actually just had sinus surgery, like, not even a week ago.
When we were talking about her coming to town, she was like, the 22nd, I'm having surgery like 3 days before, but it'll be fine. I was like, are you sure this is going to be okay? She's like,
I was like,
no
yes,
problem.
not missing this. But I'm doing well right now. I, like I said, just had the sinus surgery, which a lot of people with CF have. It's a huge part of it, but I'm doing well. I just had a checkup. My lungs are at, I think, like 48% lung function, so that's good.
That's
great. It's better than it has been in a while.
That's awesome.
I haven't been in the hospital since, it's been months now, at least like 3 months or so now, which is good.
Yeah.
I know that sounds not very good, but each month is like a milestone.
That's awesome.
To get further and further. But no, I'm doing good. I'm excited to get back on my feet after the surgery and like get back in the gym and get back to myself and in a routine. But yeah, it's good right now.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So obviously we're wearing these awesome shirts. We got plenty more. We're getting ready to do our photo shoot after this, so we're pretty excited about that. But as usual, we give 10% of every sale right at the top to charity. This month it's going to go to the VBE Foundation, which we're really excited about. Talk a little bit more specifically about your foundation and how you like to make change on the grassroots level.
Yeah, so a little bit about my foundation. It will be 2 years old next month, and what it does is for adults living with cystic fibrosis. So people can apply 18 and older, and I wanted something that would be like here and in the now, what people need like right away. So I've been a part of different foundations that go for a cure, and of course we need that too, very much so, but we also need what's like here and now, because we haven't had adults living with CF. It's never been a thing. Yeah. People weren't living into their 20s, 30s years old. So like to see that, and like to doctors to see that and everything is like really huge. It's like not been a thing for years. So it's new to them, new to us. So in my own experiences, I wanted to be able to lessen the burden of people living with CF, any financial needs that they may need. So medications, groceries, anything, like a house payment. I know a lot of CF moms, and they're like, seriously kick butt parents, and I don't know how they do what they do and have CF and do all that they do. And so I'm just there to be able to ease that burden and help with any financial needs that people need, because I know I had those people in my life and still do. And I don't know what I would have, I know that I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for those people that I've had. And the support system. So I want to be that person for people that don't have that, or even do have that, just to help in any way that I can.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You turn on the TV every day and you see this on the news, that on the news, but what Sophia's doing, and people like Sophia, and what we're trying to do at Blowfish is make a change on the ground level, really make an impact and build from there, instead of CNN headlines here, CNN headlines there, Instagram, whatever, here or there.
Yeah.
Like, make a real change with real people on the ground level.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate what you're doing so much. And that's why I'm so glad you're here. Yeah, I'm glad you're having fun these last couple of days.
Yeah, and I'm super grateful and honored to be a part of this and to do this. It's like one of my, really the first like big things that I've been able to do. I just had a fundraiser, but other than that first big fundraiser that I did, this is the next big thing. And the first time I've been able to put my visions like to reality with the apparel and just my thoughts and ideas. And I'm just super grateful for you and for reaching out and to being a part of this. It just really means a lot to me.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yes.
I'm happy. If you have any organizations you want to give to out there, any social justice causes, we're really doing our best to touch everyone we can. So if you have anything, feel free to email us. You can reach me at logan@blowfish.com, blowfishclothing@gmail.com. Obviously, the Insta handle is Blowfish Clothing, so that's always the best way to reach us. No W, BLOFISH. Go ahead and plug your foundation and then your Instagram handle too.
Yeah, so it's VBE Foundation.com, super simple. And I have that same handle for my foundation, but for me personally, Sophia Fit, CF Fit is my personal Instagram. So yeah, either one, but always any questions you guys have, anything, I'm super open. Love to meet new people, love to meet new connections, and yeah.
Yeah, want to give a shout out to video makers here in Louisville, Kentucky. If y'all need anything, we'll tag them in the video below. They're flat out amazing. They've been with us all day, stuck with us doing this today too. So shout out to them. And if y'all need anything, like I said, holler at us in any social media channel you need. And thanks for listening, those who are listening on the podcast. And it's good to be with you all on video. So hopefully we do this more often. Thanks.
Thank you.